uh, something shifted around you recently, and the people who truly know you, the ones who understand what Virgo energy actually carries, they already feel it too. There is a change in the air, a stillness that did not exist before. And at the center of that stillness is someone who made a very deliberate choice, a choice that you felt in your body before your mind had the words for it. They went quiet around you on purpose, and I need you to stay with me through this entire reading, because what is underneath that silence is going to change the way you see this entire situation. To every Virgo who is here right now, whether you have been with this channel for a long time or you are landing here for the very first time, welcome. This space was built for you. I read your comments. I carry your stories with me. And today's energy came in strong the moment I sat down to read for you. So let us not wait. Let us go straight in. They went quiet, and you felt it immediately. Not because the silence was loud in the traditional sense, not because something dramatic happened or a door slammed or words were exchanged that changed the temperature of everything between you, but because you are a Virgo, and Virgos do not miss shifts. You feel them in the air before they fully arrive. You sense the change in atmospheric pressure before the storm becomes visible. You register the micro expressions, the slight hesitations, the fractional pauses in someone's energy that most people walk right past without noticing. And when this person went quiet around you, something in you stood completely still and said, "This is intentional. You were right. Let me tell you what I am feeling as I sit with your energy right now, Virgo. This silence did not come from nowhere. It was not born out of indifference or distraction or a natural fading of connection. This silence was constructed carefully with full awareness of what it would do to the space between you, with full awareness of how it would land in your particular perceptive, extraordinarily attuned field of awareness. Someone decided to pull back their words, to withhold the ease of their presence, to create a deliberate gap where there used to be flow. And the reason they made that decision is far more revealing than the silence itself, because here is what the silence actually says about them. They are thinking about you constantly. And the noise of that, the volume of what they feel when they are around you or thinking about you or caught off guard by something that reminds them of you, became too much to contain while also maintaining the exterior they want to present to the world. So they went quiet, not to dismiss you, but to manage themselves. The silence is not about you being less. The silence is about them feeling too much. Virgo, I want to speak to something very specific about the way you have been processing this, because I know your mind. I know the way you turn things over in the quiet of your own interior world. I know that when something does not add up, when the data points do not create a coherent picture, you do not simply let it go. You sit with it. You examine it from multiple angles. You trace it backward and forward, trying to find the logic in it. And this silence has been living in your mind in exactly that way. You have been asking yourself questions. Did I do something? Did something change? Is this about me or is this about them? Is this the beginning of a withdrawal or is this something else entirely? And beneath all of those analytical questions, there has been something quieter, something more tender, um, a feeling that you may not have fully given yourself permission to acknowledge. You miss the connection. You miss the ease that existed before the silence arrived. You miss something about the way things were between you, even if you would not always say so out loud. And that missing is important information because it tells you something about what this connection actually means to you. Let me go deeper into the energy of this person now because I feel them very clearly and I want you to understand who you are actually dealing with here. This is not a simple person. They do not operate in straight lines or transparent motivations. There's a complexity to them that you have sensed from the beginning, a layering that made you curious even when it also made you cautious. They carry themselves with a particular kind of gravity, a weightiness, like someone who has navigated enough of life to understand that not everything deserves their full expression, that some things are better held close than broadcast widely. And that quality, that particular restraint, combined with that undeniable depth, is part of what drew you in because it mirrors something in you, because you recognize it, because Virgo energy understands the power of what is held back, perhaps better than any other energy in the zodiac. But here is what is different about the silence this person is using right now. It is not their natural restraint. It is a strategy. And somewhere in the sophisticated, discerning part of your awareness, you already know that. You can feel the difference between someone who is simply private and someone who is using their privacy as a move. And this is a move. I want to ask you something, Virgo, and I want you to really sit with it before you answer even to yourself. Have you noticed that the silence is not complete? That even in the pulling back, even in the deliberate withholding of their usual presence, there are these small, almost imperceptible signals that they are still very much watching, still very much aware of you, still very much in the field of your energy, even while pretending to have stepped back from it. A look that lasts a fraction too long. A response that comes just slightly too quickly to have been casual. A presence in spaces where they know you will be, even when the words between you have been reduced to almost nothing. The silence is loud, Virgo, but what exists underneath the silence is even louder. Does this resonate with what you have been feeling? Have you been picking up on those signals beneath the quiet? Let me know in the comments because I feel like so many of you are navigating this very specific dynamic right now, and I want to know how this is landing for you. Let me speak now to the power dynamic that is alive in this situation because it is real and it deserves to be named clearly. This person understands, whether consciously or intuitively, that silence is a form of gravity, that pulling back creates a pull toward, that withholding presence makes presence more desirable. They have used this before, not necessarily with malice, but with an awareness of how energy works between people, with an understanding that the one who seems to need less holds more. And they deployed this around you specifically because you are not easy to read, because your composure matches theirs, because you do not chase, because they could not get the reaction from you through ordinary means that would have told them exactly where they stand with you. So they manufactured a shift to see what you would do with it, to see if you would move toward them. Inhale. And here is where I need to speak very directly to you, Virgo, because this is the most important part of this entire reading. You do not have to move. You do not have to respond to this silence by filling it. You do not have to close the gap they created by stepping into it. You do not have to give them the confirmation they are fishing for by showing your hand before you are ready to show it. Because here is the truth about who holds the power in this dynamic. It is you. It has always been you. Not because you are playing a game, not because you are strategizing in return, but because your power is not manufactured. It is not a tactic. It is simply what you and what you are is someone whose presence, even in stillness, even in composure, even in the simple act of existing fully within yourself without reaching outward, is magnetic in a way that this person cannot neutralize no matter how quiet they go. They went quiet to create a reaction. And your greatest power right now is the peace within your own non-reaction. Let me speak to what is actually happening inside this person while they maintain this deliberate silence. It is not comfortable for them. That is important to understand. The silence is not coming from a place of ease or indifference or genuine detachment. It is coming from a place of feeling overwhelmed by what they feel and not yet knowing what to do with it. There is something about you, Virgo, that has gotten underneath their carefully maintained surface in a way they did not anticipate and cannot fully control. Your intelligence, your depth, the way you see things clearly without making a performance of your clarity, the way you hold yourself, the way you move through the world with that particular Virgo combination of warmth and precision and quiet, unshakable self-possession. It got to them. And now they are sitting in the noise of everything they feel, trying to find a way to approach you that does not require them to be more vulnerable than they are comfortable being. Trying to find an entry point that gives them some semblance of control in a situation where you have, simply by being yourself, already taken the control away. The silence is not power. The silence is confusion wearing the costume of power. And you, with your extraordinary perceptive gifts, have already seen through the costume. Virgo, I want to honor something about you in this moment, because it would have been so easy to react, to reach out and break the silence yourself just to end the discomfort of it, to make yourself smaller or more available or more demonstrably interested just to ease the tension that the withdrawal created, to chase, even subtly, even in the quiet, private ways that no one else would see. But you did not do that. You held yourself. You sat in the discomfort without letting it move you into action that did not come from your authentic center. You trusted your own discernment even when the silence was loud enough to make you question it. That is not a small thing. That is an extraordinary thing. And it is one of the reasons this person is so thoroughly captivated by you, because you cannot be easily moved, because you require something real, because you do not perform your interest or your availability, because what you give, when you give it, means something because of exactly how carefully you give it. Let me speak now to where this is going, because the energy is showing me movement, real movement, not the manufactured movement of games and silence and deliberate withholding, but genuine, authentic movement toward resolution. This person cannot maintain the silence indefinitely, not around you, not with everything they carry when it comes to you. The gap between what they feel and what they are currently expressing is becoming too wide to hold. And at a certain point, and I feel that point approaching in the energy, the weight of what is unspoken is going to break through the surface of the silence. When it does, what comes forward will be honest, will be real, will be the version of this person that exists underneath all the strategy and the gravity and the carefully maintained exterior. And that version wants you clearly, completely, without the games. But here is what I need you to carry with you as you move toward that moment, Virgo. You get to choose what you do with what they bring when they finally bring it. You are not obligated to receive it simply because it is offered. You are not required to meet their honesty with an immediate, unguarded opening of your own. You get to decide from your own centered, grounded, sovereign place what this connection deserves from you and what you are genuinely ready and willing to give. Because your heart is not a consolation prize for someone who finally decided to stop playing games. Your presence is not a reward for someone who withheld their own and then returned expecting everything to be waiting exactly as they left it. You have standards, not because you are cold or difficult or impossible to reach, but because you understand your own value, because you know what you bring, because you have done enough inner work to know the difference between a connection that genuinely nourishes you and one that simply stimulates you. Trust that knowing above everything else in this situation. Trust that knowing. As I close this reading, I want to leave you with something that I feel very strongly in your energy right now. The silence around you was never about your worth. It was never a reflection of your value or your desirability or the significance of what exists between you and this person. It was a reflection of their own internal landscape, their own complexity, their own unresolved feelings, finding an external expression in the withdrawal of their words and their ease. You did not cause the silence, and you do not need to fix it. What you need to do is exactly what you have already been doing. Stay in your own energy, stay rooted in your own truth, stay connected to the extraordinary, deep, luminous person that you are beneath all of the analysis and the questions and the quiet wondering about what someone else's behavior means. Because that person, that fully present, fully sovereign, fully themselves version of you is irresistible. Not in a way that diminishes you or makes you an object of someone else's fascination, but in the truest, most grounded sense of the word. You draw people in simply by being real. And the person who went quiet around you, they are already on their way back. Not because you chased them, not because you played the game better than they did, but because the pull of your authenticity is stronger than any silence they could manufacture. Let them come on your terms, in your time, with your full discerning, beautifully Virgo awareness of exactly what you will and will not accept. Virgo, if this reading touched something true in your experience today, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leave me a comment below telling me how this landed, what it confirmed, what it stirred. I read everything you share with me, and I carry your stories with genuine care. You are seen, you are understood, and the quiet power you carry, even in the midst of someone else's silence, is everything. Until next time, stay rooted in yourself. That is where all your power lives. That is where it has always lived. And that is more than enough.